PRV Iyer Laya Academy of Music and Mathematics takes immense pleasure to have an exclusive Laya Talk as part of its initiative Behind the Jackwood with eminent Vidwans. Pranams, welcome to PRV Iyer Laya Academy of Music and Mathematics. I am extremely happy to host yet another series of Laya Talk during December Music Fest 2024. I am delighted to have a Laya conversation with an amazing mridangam Vidwan, Sri Anantha R Krishnan. Namaskaram, Anantha Krishnan.
A pleasure to have you in my home, and I'm very humbled to be a part of this series.
Thanks for accepting this. The very reason why I do all these Laya Talk is more for archival and more for the younger generation to understand each personality, how much they have worked on, and how much whatever the ideas that you actually share is going to benefit youngsters, I'm sure. And there's going to be they understand a personality in a wholesome way. And coming back to the roots of my first segment, Mata Pita Guru Devam, normally we call that. And just to understand, to quickly run through, you can quickly talk about your family and how you got interested into this fantabulous art of mridangam.
So, obviously, Amma's side is Palghat Raghu, and so probably genetic imprinting has some level of evidence in what I do. My father's side also was a very musical side. They are from the parampara of Muthuswami Dikshitar, and his family primarily was from Calcutta. So when I grew up in the early 80s in India, primarily I was in Chennai or Madras back then. So I was around, Egmore.
26 Egmore, I remember.
And so we used to live in T Nagar. And so the environment, I think, was, I had no choice actually.
Okay.
Because most of the time there were musicians coming home.
Appa's name is also Anantha Krishnan, right?
Anantha Krishnan.
Anantha Krishnan. Amma on the Rajeshwari.
Yeah. And so I have a sister also, Sheetala Padma. She's also musically talented.
Okay.
And my wife is Charumathi Raghuraman, the violinist. So it's like wherever I go, it's like I cannot escape. It's not like we have a badminton player or something. Everywhere.
No. Surprisingly, left hand. Are you a natural left-hander?
I think on some level, I must have been.
Okay.
Because I also remember when I was very young, there were some instances where
you write with the left hand.
Well, I had some, but they used to change.
Okay.
And also those ledger books, they would smear. And so it was designed that basically only for a right-handed person, the ink wouldn't smear. So if you wrote this way, most of the time, so there was small issues with that. But for the most part, I also still remember that I think a lot of it must have just been by just a sort of a divine accident. There's no sense because now I'm pretty much right-handed. I mean, I can play certain things, table tennis, a little bit ambidextrous. There are some things that the left hand still automatically goes towards doing. I don't know. You probably have to ask my parents. I don't remember. But I remember sitting across from Tata.
Okay.
And so what he would play with the right hand, I could easily mirror it with the left hand.
Okay.
And therefore maybe that he just...
And how early you started mridangam?
I don't know. Maybe 3 to 4. Something.
Very early stage.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you have you learned music like Abhi also part of the why part Kathandiya?
Not so official. But like I said, my father's father, he was a great music teacher in Calcutta.
Ambi
They had amazing, it's still there, my Ate Shivida, she runs this, it's a 75-year-old music school. Guru Guhagana Vidyalaya. So when I would go visit them, I've learned the Navagraha Kritis.
Oh, okay.
I've learned some of the other major compositions.
So the music sense was also imbibed. And
Yeah. I don't necessarily think it makes sense to slice anything away from each other. If you are, and Abhishek is a fantastic example of that because of the depth of his knowledge of both things.
Correct.
Not to mention also like some amount of string with the violin, and his mother Shamani was a violinist. He probably understands. So in sense, my understanding, and there are so many examples of this from so many different kinds of music, is the fact that a musician, if you are to kind of call yourself that, should be able to at least understand different parts of sound, Okay. By that I mean in a very loose way, how does a vocalist, deal with sound? How does a violinist or a veena player, or how does a percussionist? And I'm saying, forget the grammar, forget the technicality, forget playing it. Even on some level, if you know, okay, what is like a female vocal? What's the kind of sound environment that they inhabit? Okay. So if I'm going to be a musician, it would be a gross injustice for me to not know those things. So in that sense, I'm very lucky that without actually telling me this is what I'm being trained for, I grew up around violin. I grew up around veena because my tata was a veena player. And then Appa was a violin player. My first concert was with him. So he used to teach a lot of students. So I knew, what is the movement of a certain gamaka? How do you understand that there's a certain rhythm? Primarily, gamaka also is a type of rhythm, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So we also have a certain participation in that being a percussionist.
Correct.
So all of that, plus then having a certain amount of exposure to Indian music, outside of Indian music, all of that allows you, I think, to have a wholesome understanding of sound.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So now you started looking at Tata grow, seeing all your relatives in some form of music form. And when did you actually started learning formally, like Padandirama Katkaram
Mama taught me first. Kumar Mama.
Oh.
Yeah. Ram Kumar.
That is Abhi
Yeah.
Ram Kumar. Oh.
He's still my living teacher.
Lovely. Very nice. Okay.
So he was the first one who taught me. He made me understand what does it mean to play Nakadi Kutari Kita.
Oh, okay. All the basic.
He painstakingly. I mean, it was providence that I think at that time there was an exodus of a lot of the people from here to the US. So he found himself in the US also in the early 90s.
Okay.
And I was a 9 or 8-year-old something. So he would come and stay with us and we'd go visit him.
Okay.
And we were all on the east coast of the...
New Jersey. I've been to your place as well.
Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And so therefore, without being too arrogant, I'll say I think the mridangam made sure that,
You got fascinated.
I was getting enough of the exposure and the information just to keep me interested in it.
Okay.
And so the hunger was always, dangled, or the bait was dangled. So you want more. So finally then, when I was, I think, 8 or 9 years old, there was a very famous Taniyavartanam of Tatas that was recorded on the LP for non-such records. And I kind of memorized it.
Oh, okay.
And so then when I played it for Tata, then he said, okay, I'll kind of fix it. Even then, I don't think he was very, interested at that moment to say, we have to sit down and do official lessons. But I was playing it from a very just intuitive sense. Like I was playing Kandanadi without knowing what it was. Not like I know now, but but that sort of intuitive, just
And like I vividly
abandon,
Okay.
is kind of how I think you have to learn certain things that otherwise would seem very intimidating for you. You're an 8-year-old kid, you've seen somebody play this. Most of the people are saying, oh my God, it's so complex. If you really go in to try to see all the detailing of it, it's going to overwhelm you. So if you just look at it from a macrocosmic perspective and say, okay, I hear this kind of thing, this is what I think it is going to be, and then you kind of just let the hands take you where they're supposed to go, you kind of just, swallow the apple whole of sorts. And then Tata came in and then he fixed everything.
Lovely, lovely.
So that basically, I think, was when there was some evidence of aptitude beyond just the cute, 3-year-old playing the instrument kind of, when you're saying, okay, there's something semi-substantial to work with here, so that's fine.
So that's the travel of your mridangam. Then at the earlier stage, when was your first concert? Actually, when you
It was pretty much once I did this. Once I had some level of
proficiency,
capacity to do it, Tata, I think, said, we can, the rest of the learning I'll give you on stage, kind of. So I had a huge benefit playing some double mridangam concerts with him as an 8-year-old, as a 9-year-old. My first concert with TNK sir, and then Ramani sir, and then KVN sir.
It was amazing.
And MSG sir.
Lovely.
And then, of course, Mandolin Srinivas sir. And then...
it should have been an amazing experience. At the time, watching.
I don't think there are better ones, actually. It's, in some sense, you're spoiled to get the best in the beginning.
Really?
But
amazing.
that's, like I said, I was too young to know how important or how, massive these giants were. So I was very comfortable, right? If I was a little bit older, I probably would have been a bit more intimidated or something. But as an 8-year-old kid, what do you care? You're so-and-so maestro, well, so am I. So that's the thing. And so now when I look back at it, I think, you must have been one must have been so kind of almost disrespectful to, just go up there and sit, as like a kid. But we don't know when you're that young. You're just told to, and they've given a certain amount of confidence in your ability. So you just go and do it. I remember, there are certain things where Tata would, say, when I look at you, play. When I don't look at you, don't play. And that's all I would do. He'd say, do it, and then I'd play. And then he'd say, now I'll play. That's it. Because he can't sacrifice the concert for the sake of having, his 8-year-old grandson on the concert. Right? So that the responsibility is even more on him.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So part of that was something that, I'm very much grateful that he took on that extra amount. But that was the greatest education that I could ever get.
This is one aspect of it. Another star in your own family is Abhi.
Of course.
Right? At younger days, were you able to jam as what you do now at Kacheri Mari, Abhi Yoda?
Oh, I think we were jamming more back then.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. In the sense that every day when I would come from the US in the summer, we'd give a mini concert at home.
Oh.
I was an 8-year-old, I was probably like a 10-year-old. And then we'd play 1.5 hours.
You're 2 year apart?
Yeah, 85, 83.
Okay.
And Tata would sit and, simultaneously teach him and teach me. And that was another kind of education.
Lovely.
So the important thing, again, going back to your question, which is obviously so much evident in someone like Abhishek, is that what we learned was music. He didn't learn vocal. I didn't learn mridangam.
Super. Lovely.
Right? So, and that's actually the quality of internalization of both melody, rhythm, lyrics, improvisation, composition that Tata had.
Absolutely.
That's the important thing. Right? So there's no shortage of, a reverence to melody that a mridangam player has. Similarly, there's no shortage to the reverence, the rhythm that a a vocalist has was his principle. And in whatever way, I think we can at least uphold those values. We try to do that.
What a great beginning and what a great blessing Anantha R Krishnan had during his younger days with his own tata and his own sibling, the same age Abhi, and living with music all around. Let's take a short break. We will see how his journey continued in the next segment. Welcome to the next segment of Laya Talk. Namaskaram, Anant.
Namaskar.
Very nice early stage, very blessed, I would say.
Yeah,
And a
for
Marivur atmosphere.
It's still going, in fact.
It's still going. I'm very, very blessed, definitely. And in fact, the blessed, I will not say only you and Abhi, and the whole lot of people who are around are all blessed. Actually, we are all listening to the good music. One of the great answers I heard from you is when your Tata was mentoring both of you, you were learning music. That was a good answer I really like, because it's not mridangam or something. You said it's the whole concept, the aspects of various parameters or various metrics around the music. I will use the same terminology as what you use. Yeah, same metrics, whatever the metrics around the music, you picked the entire thread. Indirect, it got into your stream. And then with this, and then with a good launch, with playing for established, celebrated musicians of high order, and then you moved to US, and then you started studying there. I know I was there when I was in US. I'd come to your place and things like that. And how you then nurtured yourself into the next level, I would say.
So that has to come primarily, a lot of credit has to go to my parents, because even when I was studying in college, they were okay with me learning different kinds of music. So when I did my undergraduate, I learned a different type of music, and at that time there's obviously a certain kind of pressure for most students in the undergraduate environment in the US to do economics, to do engineering, to do medicine. So many Indian doctors in the US. And I started as something thinking I also want to do something like that, because obviously there is some level of mixed emotions in terms of somebody saying I want to be a musician. You're never sure about how it goes. You need to, like you said, I've been blessed, so I lucked out in that sense. But it's still not always something that's a confirmed success, right? So, but Appa Amma were very just, open and free to say, yeah, if you want to do music, do it. You have to give yourself the opportunity to learn what, you seem to gravitate towards. So there was a delusional element where you think you're going to be a banker or something like that. But like I said, there was some amount of, the spirit of the mridangam to always kind of say, this bait is dangling, so keep getting, updating yourself. And so I think being around a completely different music environment in my undergraduate experience, and then learning things like electronic music in my master's. And then when I was doing my master's, I was in Oakland, California.
Okay.
And then for about 5 or 6 summer vacations, Ustad Zakir Hussain used to do a tabla retreat.
Oh, you learned there. Okay.
One week.
Okay.
In a place called San Rafael.
Okay.
Which was like a 1-hour drive. So only a fool would pass up that opportunity. So I went and I learned, and then you have another kind of opening of possibilities and different kind of portals of so I'd say different portals of tempos.
Huh.
This is the main thing that I'll tell you, is that after being a very sound student of mridangam, when immediately you move into a certain language of tabla, the tempos are very different. So a lot of mridangam repertoire is kind of in a sort of bandwidth.
Okay.
Right? So if we say na din din na 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 din din na na din din na tarikitatom tarikitatom tarikitatom. So then this multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5, and then you have the different
Nowadays.
and all that. But it's very rare that you're going na din din na 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 din din na tarikita din din na na din din na.
The tempos.
And at a sustained amount. Right?
Yeah.
So then suddenly you're thinking, oh, wait a minute. This is a small kind of... It's not to say that tempo doesn't exist in mridangam, but a sort of sustained development at, say, 130-40 beats per minute is something that tabla had at a very comfortable amount of, what do you say? Playability.
Bandwidth to play, yeah.
Da din din na na din din na da din din na tak din din na da kar tak ni tak tak din na kan tak 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 din na kan da kar tak ni tak tak din tak din na kan da in the mari, like you'll have for like 20-25 minutes.
Opa.
Right?
Sustainable hours,
Yeah, like that's a repertoire
Wow.
called qaida. From da 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 tak din na kan da tak da tak din na kan da 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 tak din tak din da tak din na kan da kar tak din tak din na kan da tak din da kar tak din na kan da kar tak din na kan da tak din da kar tak din na kan da. Right? So these kind of just poetic things. Then you start thinking, okay, so we have dim nandrakrida dim nandrakrida dim nandrakrida dim nandrakrida dim nandrakrida dim nandrakrida, but this is hard to play. It's not so easy to play for this amount.
Correct.
So then I thought, okay, I have some work to do. And so...
Was this complementing, learning tabla, was it complementing your speed in mridangam? As it improved because of the fingering?
Well, the fingering was different, actually.
Adile.
It's different. But that's what I said, the portals of tempos opened up. I mean, technically, someone can say, you have na din din na 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 din din na taka takita taka takita taka takita taka takita taka dimbi taka dimbi taka dimbi taka dimbi taka dimbi nandrakrida dimbi nandrakrida dimbi din ta dim nandrakrida dimbi nandrakrida dimbi din ta dim nandrakrida dimbi nandrakrida dimbi din ta dimbi nandrakrida dimbi nandrakrida dimbi din ta. So you have an argument that could say, technically, if you start playing fours in Kandanadai, you have something that's roughly the same tempo of what you're saying is. However, here's the catch. There is a difference when you ground yourself playing the chatushram at that tempo. So thinking of it as just a blind tempo going takadimi 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 da versus takadimi 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 takadimi, automatically there's an emotion that's changing.
Correct.
So I had to spend a certain amount of time in chatushram at the tempos outside of the Carnatic bandwidth. In a sustained way.
Okay.
Even then, I'd ask you, if there is Kandanadai and you're doing takadimi, 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 right? How long are you going to do that? Are you going to do it for 20 minutes? No. You're going to do it for maybe 5 minutes. That's at the peak of something who's, if you really develop so many variations and stuff like that. But a simple tabla qaida would go for 7-9 minutes just in the fours. So all of those things made me look at deficiencies in my play. So I had to fill some of those gaps. And of course it's complementary. Because I don't think there's ever going to be a situation where if you genuinely learn something, it's not going to be complementary to the thing that you automatically,
complementary in the speed, because typically if you watch tabla player, they don't use this fully. They use this num and the viral. We also play using this. So in the usage improves dramatically by learning tabla.
I think I would say the other way. I would say my topi playing got faster.
Oh.
Because they're going ge.
On the left movement. The left.
Whereas we're going, it's hard to go.
Correct.
Right? If you're going dagadina, it's easy to go. Because you're going with gravity. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Whereas you're going with it's much more difficult.
Correct.
So I would say that's probably the biggest advantage for me in my right hand, because I'd play.
Right. Okay.
So
very interesting.
the fingering thing, I think, is not really such a big deal.
Gumki and in tabla and this.
They're all different. I had to. I mean, even now, I don't think my tabla gumki is so good. It's okay. The content is really the main thing. The way of thinking, the concepts, and the most important thing I haven't said so far.
Interestingly, when you played, I want to ask you this question. Tabla, you used to play the right way?
No. This is why I told you I'm still semi-confused with my ambidextrity. This would be the smaller tabla, and this would be but I just did that accidentally. Yeah. I mean,
that's why
Is this
okay.
The most important thing is that, who better than somebody like Ustad Zakir Hussain or Zakir ji to get a teacher from, and to just see the way he would unravel certain things, and just to be around that sort of first person, then musician, and then creative force was probably the kind of, you asked me what did I do to get to the next level. I was just blessed to be in the company of such a person.
Amazing.
For a short period of time. So that took care
you
of
also
itself,
you also played along with him quite a few occasions, right?
Yeah, I've had that great blessing also. Yes. I mean, in many, you asked me this other question as a preparation for this segment.
Yeah.
And you said, what are the standout things in your career so far? The thing that I've been blessed with is every teacher of mine, starting from Tata, I mean, even if you say Matapita, all that, I didn't play with my mom, but like my first concert was with my dad as a 7-year-old, then with Tata. Then I did a Laya Vinyasam with Kumar Mama.
Well,
then, of course, with Zakir ji. Then I had a Western percussion teacher called William Wynant, who taught me marimba, drum set. And then he put me on the stage with him too. So I've had this incredible blessing where all of my teachers have put me on the stage with them. And I've allowed to, be a part of that environment. And I don't think it gets better than that when your teacher is saying, come on the stage with me and let's play together.
I still also remember one of the programs where Tata was hosting that program, maybe in academy. You and I be demonstrating.
2007. Lecture demonstration.
On the Viriboni Varnam mission. It was wonderful, fantabulous program still there. And then you started playing for the Jayanti Kumaresh and then the Sashank flute. Nariya Kacheri, you started playing in US, right? A lot of opportunities turned around for you when whoever traveled to US at that point of time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
predominantly.
That's a sort of course, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like I said, you're hungry when you're there. And so when there are artists who come there to play, that's when you can test yourself also.
Okay.
To see, if you're okay to sit with the...
It's a great exposure actually. By 2025, and you almost sat with almost all big Vidwans.
But I think it's still a sort of you know the silo in the farm where they keep the grains?
Correct.
They have this kind of, I think it's still growing in a silo. I think the real growth for me came when I came back to India
Okay.
in 2000. So Tata passed away in 2009.
9,000.
And so there was a bit of a confusion in terms of what I was also doing. And with a heavy amount of, confidence from, my Usha Mami, Abhishek Sama, Abhishek, Kumar Mama, and my parents, they all said, yeah, go to India and see, play the mridangam professionally, see what happens. And we were just starting out. So 2010, 11, 12, all of those years is where even when you mention people like, Jayanti ji or Kamlesh ji or Shashank ji, all of these people, all the various Gs, I was fortunate to get so many opportunities to play with them. And playing here is a different kind of environment.
Definitely.
Traveling here, being in their company is a different type of environment. There's a lot of information that you understand about what it means to be a musician that's not on stage.
Okay.
In the US, that's not so available to you.
Very true. Very true.
And so that real skill gets honed, or at least got honed for me when I moved back.
Oh, lovely. Coming to here, given the prestige, if you look at the prestige, playing for AAR, getting graded, all those things were good things to have. And you should have been graded lower.
Oddly, it's the funniest story I tell everybody. I think it happened in the late 90s.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I applied for AIR.
Okay.
They rejected me. They said, your application has been rejected. To this day, I don't know why.
Oh my.
And I just also haven't had the kind of, patience to go back and check and call. But I just said, okay, it's fine. So, but I loved going to AR with Tata. I have a lot of fond memories. So many musicians.
I only wish you, the series also, right?
Yeah.
You should go and play in AR. There's nobody to even grade you.
It's okay.
No. What I wanted you to straight away A top, man. That's what it is.
Even if
and I think that's my wish for you as an elder.
That's kind of.
And I wish you should definitely approach and you just play and come. That's all. I think you should be. No. I just wanted you to do this.
Giving me more work in this.
Yeah, definitely. You are supposed to be a top grade straight away.
It's nice to look forward to something, so that's nice.
Yeah, well, let's. Let this Laya talk, I think, be something very concrete from my side as a trigger, as a motivational factor, which you deserve, of course. No, it's only a thing as I'm just trying to tell something where whenever it's opportunity arises, you just apply and then play and come. That's all I think.
Is that still happening though?
It's still happening, yes. It's still happening, and I wish you always straight away
apply,
get that, apply and then apply and play. And you will get a straight A.
We'll see.
That's all. I wanted you to do that.
Okay.
Please. And then, so coming back.
Taken a promise on a public forum.
Absolutely. Because.
There's no shortage of pressure now.
Absolutely. I think you're straight away to me more than anybody else. And I think it's a pride. You can carry one more feather in your cap.
If it's to happen, we'll see.
Yeah. So coming back to coming back to India, and then what amount of mental balance you had coming back to India after studying there in US, and then coming here, taking this as a full-time music, and how was your feeling? For me, it looks like it's a huge decision you made, and.
What do you mean huge decision?
Huge decision. True. Like now you studied. You did most of your studies in the US, and a lot of people might other way about they study and go there. They study GRE, TOEFL and go there. Right. But it's a reverse way because your music was an influencing factor, and Tata and other connections. You wanted to move back here. So, which is a good thing. But how did you carry it all through? Was that with full?
I'll give you this example, and I don't know if there is a certain imposter syndrome. Do you know what that means? Imposter syndrome is something like where you kind of fake it till you make it. Is kind of the thing, right? There's a part of that, I think, which plagues a musician for some time. And I'm not sure if it's fair of me to, kind of pull the wool over the sheep's eyes as a class saying all musicians. But like you said, there is some part of it that is so abnormal about this, right? And people are like, wait, you learned in the US and then you now play the mridangam in India? And that has a certain thing that it plays in your mind. But at the same time, if you're kind of sure of what you're doing, you have to just kind of,
Acceptance.
Fill those shoes in a certain way, right?
Good.
And so I had a lot of support. I'm sure it's much more difficult for a lot of people. I had, a heavy amount of familial support. I still do. And, coming from this sort of pedigree, the other thing I, willingly tell people is these mridangams, as far as I know that all of the family members are concerned, they're very much living spirits amongst us. So my job, beyond playing concerts, is to look after those spirits till as much as I can. And all of those instruments have been given to me. Those instruments are probably older than you. They're older than him. They're probably as old as your father. This mridangam kate will easily be 75, 80 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if I say that to somebody who's saying you moved from the USA to India, now suddenly they feel very uncomfortable. Right? So all of that stuff is something that I hold very personal to me. I'm saying it because you're somebody who would understand the gravity of that. But how would some random person who you meet on a flight or somebody who's saying, oh, so you went to Dartmouth College, that education must have cost a lot. Now, what do you do again? You play the mridangam? Oh, okay. Then the conversation ends there, which is fine. No, hard feelings on anyone. But inside you're thinking, yeah, but, I have to, answer to these spirits. Like, they don't care.
Amazing answer.
It pales in comparison to think of my, personal hardship, when actually the responsibility given and the faith given to me is something of a sort of a celestial sort. So when you get mature enough to think about those things, then India, US, who cares?
So we heard the second segment, and what should I say? Absolutely blessed artist, and Mridangam had chosen Anantha R Krishnan, and the spirits of his tata is in him, and he nurtures it, and he feels pride in carrying that respect the rest of his life and his journey. What an amazing way of taking a profession with pride. Let's take a short break. We'll get into the next segment. Welcome to the Laya segment of Laya Talk. We're going to interact with Anantha R Krishnan about few of the nuances and the practice sessions on how he had conducted and a little bit of insight of how to build the Balapadams as some ideas to be educated to the younger generation. Because basically the sound qualities are amazing, right? Possibly the gumkis and the valandarai and edandarai, the balance and all those things. The COVID time, I saw your videos. A lot of videos were thought-provoking and using one single tattvam, the varieties. Possibly you can start off with some example of how do you take it and how do you build it up into the cascades of the different levels.
Okay, so the thing that I found out from my own practice, which was beneficial, was that Balapadams and Sarvalagu need not necessarily be two different entities, right? So for me, I just looked at both of them as, like I said, a way to keep going. So right, so now you have your Sarvalagu patterns and your Balapadams in one
group. Yeah.
So any development of this is okay. So what's the next thing you can do? Like so all of these things are essential because it takes all the syllables. Because if you just do Balapadams, primarily you're doing, you're not doing too many of the, all of that stuff. So if there's a way that you can kind of put all of them together, I thought was
give a rounded experience.
Yeah, like and it's not so tiring.
Okay.
To just go. It's like a very one kind of tone. Right? So then to go. Right, so this allows a little bit more of a relaxed way to go about it. That's it.
Another interesting question I want to ask you. இப்போ நிறைய கச்சேரியில் பார்க்குற பொழுது ஒரு பேட்டர்ன் வச்சுட்டு ஆதி தாளத்தில் வாசிக்கிறேன், தாளம் மாறுறச்சியும் ஒரு மாதிரி எல்லாத்துக்கும் யூ ஹேவ் டு ரிமெம்பர் சோ மெனி திங்ஸ். ஒரு கோர்வேன்னு எடுத்துட்டேன்னா ஒரு ஆர் வாட் எவர் ஒரு அபிப்பிராயம் ஒன்று வாசிக்கணும். Do you have any relational mapping sort of ஆதி தாளத்தில் வாசிக்கிறது மிஸ்ர சாப்பில் ஒரு same thing you extend the pattern or you?
It depends on my mood. I've now, enough people will tell you that I mean there are some concerts I fall flat on my face. It's for the reason that I don't want to preemptively decide that I want to play something.
Oh, okay. You've taken it so open.
In some sense, it's that's what's been happening.
Okay.
Even I don't know if that's a decision that I make all the time, but at the same time, there are some instances where someone says, I'm going to play an intricate pallavi or sing something. So you do have to plan to say, okay, this is one factor in how I want to do something. But the lead up, the storytelling, the way the plot is created for a character of, the whole thing is the screenplay.
Correct.
Right? So if you have a phrase that's going, right, that's one character. So you can decide to put that character in a sort of very calm environment where it's like, this is normal. Or you can put it in a place that's like, you know, or then it depends on the mood.
Okay.
So if I want to be really creative, maybe I can play, you know, make the Sarvala Bhutisharam, and then, you know, so all of those things have been somewhat spontaneous.
In fact,
there's no mapping per se that one tala has to translate to the other things.
Okay.
So I don't, now the good thing about that is I don't have to remember anything. Whatever happens, just happens. There are some korvais that you, just from the, you know, the sort of DNA
mind over the fingers.
imprinting of just playing it so many times, you just end up playing it. But you don't, honestly, if you ask me, did you plan on doing it? The answer is no.
And that's a difference I see from this current generation. That's a salient difference. But Tata Vasikal say, they repeat, but you don't repeat the present generation.
Well, we don't know, maybe, or I don't know how to make the repeat sound fresh. If
That's a difference.
20 times, maybe 20 times when you heard it, it sounded different every time. I don't know. But
No, that's a difference I see in the younger generation. And
but also the problem now is the fact that you know, the content is so quickly consumed by everybody. The desire to keep making different things also is sort of something that innately all of us succumb to.
correct.
Right? The moment it's on YouTube or somebody has a phone
Immediately
recording,
take it, yeah.
it's out there. So then you don't also want to, you know, let down somebody who's coming to see you by saying, you know, by doing the same thing again. So I found out that completely being free allows me to at least say it's different every time in that sense.
But these sort of different captures actually, and what ends up is one creation and the next creation of yours are different. But are you trying to, for the future, for yourself or for the generation, trying to document it somewhere? What you're trying to do? Obviously, it needs a preparation.
That's your job.
No.
In terms of my own documentation, I have a recording of every concert that I play. That's the most I can do.
Oh, okay.
Any more effort will allow me to, you know, have to sacrifice what I'm actually supposed to do. But I have a decent recording of the concert. That's the most I'm willing to do for myself, actually.
Do you really prepare for RTP or any?
If they tell me,
Okay.
if they say, you know, I'm going to do something,
Okay.
I have to respect their decision to make me aware of that information.
Okay.
So that's also nice.
Okay.
But sometimes it's also so the disillusion between what's right and wrong for me actually is the same.
Okay.
You know, if I get something right or it ends up going wrong, I'm actually okay with both. Because for me, it's about the grind of, you know, I just have to keep working at it.
Lovely.
So if I get it right, then it's actually in some sense bad. Because now, you know, I don't have something specific to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in that sense, you know, falling completely and having a huge failure. Even just recently, I don't know, a few concerts ago in Mysore, there was a concert where there was a Mishra Chap, which was a little faster, you know. For whatever reason, it was decided that it's going to be male Karam Kandanada in this. And I said, okay, let's see how long. So it was like 7-8 minutes of this. And at one point I was tired. Everyone knew I was tired. But I just kind of said, okay, let's see where it ends. And I wouldn't say it was a very great performance. But at the same time, everybody understood, okay, this happens. We're okay with it. And that kind of support I'm very lucky to have, actually. Because then I know that, okay, we can really push the extremes of some of these things. And then we can find out, okay, what is the best part of it.
Lovely.
Right. So if you know this mathematical phrase when you have your asymptotes as it approaches zero, as it approaches infinity. So if I'm thinking if I can keep just pushing it, then the sub region or the sweet spot gets bigger and bigger. Right. So that's what I'm after.
I think there is nothing more. I think we are going to cut it short because the reason is the type of play what Anantha R plays is with an open mind, and for that to happen, if somebody is coming for a concert to play with an open mind and engage the audience with a flurry of different ideas, he should have obviously rehearsed himself several times to group all these Laya patterns in a specific way or orient his mind towards a specific way. So there is one pattern or something which we ask, it will be more idiotic from my side. And what I personally feel is, and I showed a demonstration how certain things that the phrase and the Sarvalagu cannot be, it can be together to make it nice to hear. And the way you develop and how you develop those certain patterns, it depends on how you rehearse on its various nadais and other things. It's a self-grooming sessions. And all these workshops sort of a thing actually makes a lot of fun, and then those ideas get germinated and a lot of good things come out of it. And that's how the current trend is going on. And wish you good luck in your future. The way you're playing is amazing, and it's inspired many of us like me. And that's the reason why we have tried to capture as best as we can from your side the intellectual side of your approach in your various answers, which was completely different and which was very enriching for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Namaskaram, Anantha Krishnan. இப்போ வந்து என்னோட ஐடியா என்னன்னா, see the art form we are being, which is there from about centuries now, Tata's age, and then now we also saw the different set of breeds, and then now as youngsters you have also taken it far and beyond. And in the மாதிரி இருந்தது வரைச்சா, how do we take it even closer to the schools? How do we make it as a curriculum? The greatest asset what we see now is the usage of mobile and by the children, and then more tied on to it because of the games and stuffs like that. How do we interactively make this as a game? In my idea, probably I will table out my own idea, and you say how we can probably, and what is your feeling and thought process behind it. To me, I wanted to do it as a puzzle game sort of a thing. For example, like introduction of number systems, 1 to 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, now 1 to 10 or 1 to number system, and revolve around that la, tha, taka, takita, takadina. So slowly introduce and then has a puzzle piece and a dice game, or play a Ludo using this Laya game. Laya itself, make a board and play, and how it reaches on the top, right? And somehow sort of design. Another design aspect I think is, I call it as a Laya kindergarten, LKG. So basically, introduce close to them, get them motivated, right? And then like puzzle pieces like talang, takadina, kitataka, if you keep on as each puzzle, like 4-letter puzzle, 3-letter puzzle, 9-letter puzzle, and how do you really combine them to make it a meaningful phrase? Takita takadimi takita ta. Wanted to do 3, 4, 5. How a person can, in order, they can make some sort of a building, like a building blocks, right? These sort of games which we can introduce can motivate probably the children. That's one aspect of it. Second aspect of it, what I think loud is, make as a Udemy learning concept, introduced to schools, and ensure that the students watch these videos instead of the game. Like a small 15-minute video, which is not going to be tiring for the our children as well. They can watch that and end up so over or interested, then probably they go into the system of the music. And that these are few of the ideas what I carry.
Right.
And accordingly, what are your thought process of a music system? And as an youngster, and you've taken a big huge responsibility of taking, and then you have taken as a profession. And how do you look at it, or reforming, or as a policy of taking it forward? Is there any ideas which you can really?
I don't have answers, but there are things that I think about. And for example, and it's been a sort of a silent project on my own part, but the cultivation of jackfruit trees is something we should think about.
Okay.
The preservation of jackfruit trees, assuming that that's still something that's going to be used for making mridangams, right? So either we understand how to plant certain amount of jackfruit trees every year, which allow, decades of uninterrupted growth, or we figure out alternative means of where they're not being over-cultivated for some sort of, economic incentive. Kanjira, Veenai, Tambura, Mridangam, Tawil, all of these are primarily made from jackfruit trees. It's not just in the angle of Mridangam. So a lot of those maybe needs to be looked at from some sort of it's collecting the data is actually the tough part. And I'm the most underqualified to do it. But we need to figure out on a year how many instruments. So like I was having this conversation with another friend of mine. How many mridangams are you think sold in a year? New mridangams.
In a year, right?
In a year, assuming.
About 25 to 30,000.
30,000 mridangams. You think so?
I think about 1,000 players, about 10 mridangams. 12,000
so
into 10,000
so
is 1,000.
You mean 100 mridangams are being sold a day? 365 into 100 is roughly what, 36,000?
With the current number of players across the globe, I'm talking about, because the cultivation is here, mostly the manufacturing place is here. I'm just thinking.
You really think so? Doesn't it seem like 100 mridangams a day that's actually being sold is like very high? That means that, so I'll give you the other side of it. To make one tawil katte, the whole jackfruit tree is basically sacrificed. It's not sacrificed in the sense that it's cut down for this purpose, but primarily the width of that katte needs the root of that tree, right? Now, if you're saying 36,000...
No, around 2025. Right? Around 2025 was my wild guess, but I really don't know this
So the data collection we need to figure out, because on some level Pandruti is the singular place where a lot of these
correct
mridangams are coming, and they have a fabulous system there, and we're nobody to go tell them, you need to improve this or that, However, because we're on the side of wanting to sustain the art, the natural elements that go into, making these instruments, the first thing to me is to at least have that sort of wood around. Now, if you ask me, how are you going to make sure that cows are, growing in number from mridangams? I don't have an answer, right? So all of that becomes very,
very true.
So we don't know. But if you assume that on some level, there are going to be more kids as the population grows who want to play mridangam, as with everything else. There are more people who play chess, there are more people who play tennis because the population is growing. So we say more people are going to play the mridangams. Therefore, that there's a demand for more mridangams to be made. Right? So I'm going from a very just, bare bones example. Then the incentive of how this art kind of appeals to them is a whole nother thing. When you were young, you had a certain natural inclination to it, maybe. And then you had teachers, and then you said, this is something that I gravitate towards. Young kids today, you need to figure out in their head how to make this appealing to them. Probably that is in some level as much as, God forbid, it's through the phone.
Correct.
As much as we want them to get out of it, probably the first incentive is to say, this exists, but now out of the phone, you have to go to the real thing and see how you can play it. So all of those things are, we're seeking answers on all of those things. But the most important thing that I think that we have is the fact that the sound of this instrument is very special.
Correct.
I'll speak from a slightly emotional perspective, is that regardless of whether we can do a Udemy, whether we give them something that is a curriculum, the healing property of this instrument is something that has to be a deeply psychologically, symbiotic thing that a person gravitates towards. That to me is actually where the connection is made. When someone feels the sound a certain way, then suddenly at any length, he or she will go to find out why does this urge exist inside of it. And we have no explanation of why to some person it appeals and why to some person it doesn't appeal. Because there are people in different parts of the world who are suddenly thinking, I have to learn this instrument, I need to buy a mridangam. The person might be in Poland, they may be in Tanjore, or so that's the thing that we have to figure out is
True.
What is it about the sound that has a distinct possibility that appeals to certain people?
That's true, but if you look at the current trend, the fiber mridangam is coming to play.
Yeah.
There's Kasturi Rangan, there's a person in Bangalore who's also making
Bharadarangan.
He makes without
Sri
any
Anantha.
skin. So it's again, so there are opportunities around the simulation of the sounds of mridangam had come in addition to the actual sound, the pristine sound. Of course, I agree with you, the sound is amazing, but what you get out of a jackfruit, the mridangam. So the type of what I meant to say is, to get an inclination into this art, you don't really need the jackwood. All you need is a simulated sort of an instrument, even for the it's a child's play.
Right.
So that can be a motivation factor. Eventually they can travel, and whoever is good at it, they can travel and then see. That's my idea. Point is that.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And the nice thing about Konakol is that it's a sort of very easy technology.
Correct.
Right?
Expression, right?
You can give them all of those things. And there is a proliferation of that on Instagram. You see all of these great maestros of Konakol teaching so many people with all of these different kind of
animations
and all that. So that's happening. But it's still a connection where you draw them into the zone of the joy of playing.
Correct.
And that's still something that I don't know. It's to those who get it. I mean, I'm biased enough to say they're blessed. I don't know if it's fair.
It's true. I think it's it's a debatable subject. It's all an idea. It's an interesting debate.
I mean, we have to try everything.
Yeah, we have to try.
We have to try everything.
The expedition is the only way.
Absolutely, we have to try everything. And I really laud your efforts and so many other people who are using social media in a good way.
Correct.
As much as sensationalism
Correct.
and negative news sells faster, a sort of latent positivity is also something that has to constantly exist. So thank you for your efforts as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a small thing about my series, what I do, and I just just part of it.
Thank you very much.
And build.